marketers. Deborah Eckerling here.
And I'm Keith Smith, and we host the MPN Meta Marketing Show, which is not just another marketing podcast, but the marketing podcast about all the other marketing podcasts.
Podcasts are booming, right? We love them, and people actually listen. They don't scroll, they don't swipe, well, except maybe during the ad breaks.
But here's the secret. With the Marketing Podcast Network, your ads don't make people hit skip. We put your brand on shows that people actually want to hear.
That's right. We match your message with podcasts that make marketing nerds like us perk up and take notes, or at least nod knowingly, pretending they understand.
And don't worry, because we'll deliver your ad naturally. People might even think that we love your brand personally, which of course we totally do, unless it's a veggie smoothie, then maybe not.
If you want your brand heard without making listeners roll their eyes,
head to marketingpodcasts.net and catch marketing fans at work, rest and play. Seriously, your audience is already listening. Make sure they hear your brand and not our awkward jokes.
Join the conversation, because good ads shouldn't just be tolerated, they should be enjoyed.
Yes!
Tonight on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the incredible new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon, tonight on NBC.
Coming up on this episode of the Entrepreneurial You,
your own knowingness and your own integrity dictates what you do in life. And you just have to go get it, because honestly, there's really nothing standing in your way except your own considerations. When something's quality and it's a compelling story and it's a universal story, that's another thing. Make it universal, because we all have stories to tell and we all have shared reality.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Hello, hello, hello. I am happy because it is another episode of the Entrepreneurial You. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, and today's guest is a force in the world of film and storytelling, and she is Ryann Liebl. Now, from her roots in Wisconsin to the sound stages of Los Angeles, Ryann has worn nearly every hat in the industry: actor, writer, director, producer, and creative leader. As the founder of Rel Films and deputy CEO of the award-winning Light Touch Media Group, she is dedicated to telling stories that matter and empowering voices that need to be heard. So if you are passionate about authentic storytelling and championing women in film, championing women in leadership, you are in for a treat, all right? So welcome, Ryann Liebl. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. So my peak performers, here's what you're in for today. Lights, camera, impact, authentic storytelling, and female leadership in film. Now, the film industry is evolving and authentic voices are finally taking center stage. Ryann Liebl's journey from teenage actor to an award-winning director and creative executive embodies the power of persistence, vision, and advocacy. Today, we'll explore how Ryann crafts stories that resonate, why she champions female filmmakers, and how her work is reshaping the narrative landscape for the next generation. Ryann, icebreaker question for you. You started acting at 14 and now lead both a film company and creative agency. What's one moment that on the set that made you think, this is exactly where I'm meant to be?
That's a great question. I mean, I think for me, that actually happened to me at a young age. So when I started to do theater in high school is really when it happened. And I was doing a play called Steel Magnolias, which was also made into a film years ago. And it was a play. It started as a play and made into a film. And I we did that production and that was it for me. Like once I learned my lines and we actually got to perform and we got to see the reaction of the audience and how much joy and laughter we were bringing to people, I knew that that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So it was
Wow.
pretty simple.
So it was almost love at first sight from all the way back then, yeah?
Yeah, it was. And I always loved performing when I was younger, but I was kind of shy about it. And then it was really like when I did that first play and I got confident that I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is definitely it.
Awesome. So you have been doing all of that. Did you have in your family, did you have anybody around you who was into film, into theater, any such influence?
Yeah, it's funny. I found out about this years ago, I mean, before I even started acting, but I found out that on my grandfather's side, he was from
Mhm.
Austria, and his whole family were in the theater and in opera, and they were performers, which I didn't know until I was older in life, right? So there was that, which was interesting because he loved music and he introduced me to musicals and opera and that kind of thing. But I didn't know the history. And then my father was a musician. He played the piano and the organ. And then my mom was always very artistic. She was an interior designer and made everything beautiful. So I was surrounded by a lot of art. And then they also were big movie lovers. So we owned a lot of movies. We watched movies. I went to the cinema all the time. So yeah, I was surrounded by it.
Interesting. So you've gone through the gamut of acting, writing, directing, and now producing your own film. Just talk us through that journey, what it has been like, each phase of it, and which do you prefer most?
You know, I when I started in the industry, I was just an actor, or at least that's what I called myself.
Hmm.
And the funny thing is, I look back now and I wasn't just acting. I actually started writing from a young age and I put together short films and I would, I'd shoot little mini movie things and I started directing. And that just happened very quickly, right? So that whole process has been very interesting in that it's been an evolution, I suppose you could say, right? Of doing those things a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, and then working in the industry as an actor, right, in Hollywood, and having the benefit of working with some of the greats and learning from them, right? Um, yeah, and then just getting better and better at all those different skill sets, right? And then focusing, and that's kind of what I've done. So it's an interesting thing because I wear so many different hats, as you mentioned, right, in the industry that there isn't one particular thing that I do really well. I'm much happier when I'm kind of doing all of it, which seems a little odd. It seems a little odd, right, to say that, but honestly, I'm a better actor when I'm also directing because I don't have my attention on the acting. And so I can just act. I can just turn it on and I can turn it off. Whereas when I was just acting, like if I was on the set of a TV show or somebody else's film or a commercial, I would get a little freaked out, right? Because I was waiting, right? I was waiting for my part. I was waiting for my turn. And it was very easy to build up nerves and be like, oh gosh, am I going to do this right? And I can do this so many different ways. And what if I screw it up? So I like, I like being able to direct and then act in something because it's completely easy to switch between the two. And then each one is fine. Each one works, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, it believe me, it makes complete sense. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but it makes sense when I put myself in your shoe because I wear a lot of hats. I love so many things that I do, and if you've asked me to choose one, I'm gonna have a problem.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think women do well doing different things. I think we're used to keeping the balls in the air. And
Yes.
I think too, like as women, it's nice to be the one who's driving the train, you know?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing because it makes us feel more confident and competent, you know?
Yeah. Actually, that is true. That makes all the sense. So clearly, no man is an island or woman stands alone, right? You would have had to get some support along the way. How important or what role has mentorship played in your journey, Ryann?
Well, I think, I've done what I can as much as possible to mentor others. I would say I've had moments in my career where people have mentored me, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been times on sets with some really great talented people. Like I was just talking about this on social media not that long ago, but I worked with this cinematographer who was named Vilmos Zsigmond, and he had worked with Steven Spielberg and Brian De Palma and all these very talented directors. And he took the time to teach me a bit when I was on set with him, which was really amazing for him to do, right? And then I had great acting teachers who pushed me and encouraged me to try things that were more challenging. They also told me to start directing more. But yeah, you kind of, it's a funny thing, I think, in Hollywood because it can be very isolating because not everybody has the time to mentor. It's a very fast-paced city and the industry is very fast-paced. So I didn't always have that, right? And I didn't come from Hollywood. I came from, almost rural suburban background growing up in Wisconsin, right? So I didn't know a ton about the film industry, but as much as I can, I try to help other people. I basically give people as much information as I can about these topics because I want to mentor people because I don't want them to walk into things like I did, not really understanding how it worked or what was supposed to be done or whatever. So definitely moments, but I never had that really great person to just keep me going, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know you are really an advocate for female filmmakers. What are some of the changes that you hope to see happening in the industry over the next, say, 5 years from now?
Well, I think there's a big difference between men and women, right, in terms of their writing and their filmmaking style. I think men are driven by more I don't want to be mean about it, but sometimes their products are a little bit more violent, right? Things like that, right? Whereas women are softer, they have different viewpoints. Even comedy that we write, right? That when I write for women, I write very differently than a man would write for a woman. And you can see those differences when you see certain films. Like, there's a lot of female comedies out there, and you see men have written them, and I don't know if you had this experience, but I'll be like, a woman wouldn't do that, right? We wouldn't say that. We wouldn't do that. That's not something we would do. And then you find out a man wrote it. It's like, right. So it's having the correct viewpoint, and we just need more female writers and storytellers in general because honestly, we make up most of the population on the planet. So we should be contributing more to the art world because there's more of us than there are of men.
Absolutely. And in terms of some of your work that you've put out there, for those of us who are not so much aware of it, just take us through the kind of material that you provide. What is your audience, your ideal target audience for your material?
Yeah, I think for filmmaking, that audience is the audience that wants to escape, wants to be uplifted, wants to be inspired, right? Wants to come out of a theater or watching a film and be like, you know what? I can change my life, or I can do something better, or I could try something I've never tried before, right? Inspirational is important. And then obviously I also work in the corporate world, at our creative agency. So I'm working with Fortune 500 companies all the time, carving out, content and storytelling for those brands. But it's the same purpose, no matter what it is. I love to use storytelling as an element and even corporate material because I know it works and it's effective. And I can use humor and I can use aesthetics and I can use color and just tell great stories. And those great stories resonate and you can sell product by telling a good story. So they're actually very similar, you know what I mean? But obviously one thing is for a particular thing and the other thing is, movie making. So
Right. So in addition to doing the film work and stuff, directing, the acting that you do, you actually tell me a little more about the work that you do with organizations, that inspirational stuff.
yeah. So I've been working for 17 plus years now with companies of all sizes, right? From Shell to Harley Davidson, LexisNexis, which is a big company. The list goes on and on. And their needs vary, right? It can be very simple. It can be a documentary about the company. It can be a trade show video that somebody needs to sell a product. It can be commercials and ads. We do a lot of that. So it's varied, but it's a similar kind of thing. I'm using the same technique that I did in Hollywood, right? To carve out and establish and tell those stories, right? It's the same thing. If you're going to do a live shoot or a commercial, it's the same thing as it is in putting together, a short film or a feature film or a music video or whatever it is, right? You're casting people, you're finding locations, you have a crew, you have a storyboard, there's a script, and you've got to get that across the finish line. So same kind of thing.
Right, right. And what are you finding is the reaction to your work? What are persons saying? Those that you work with corporates, what are those feedback that you've been getting regarding your work?
Well, what's been interesting about it is we've won a lot of awards for the work, which is really neat. So we've won a bunch of Telly Awards too, which is one of the most competitive advertising awards in the world. We've won a bunch of Telly Awards for that work, which has been really neat to see and observe. And then, we care about, sales, right? We care about results. We care about that the company gets ROI, and that it converts to them either, selling something or promoting something or it gets something across the finish line. Well, we did one video series for a company and we found out it helped them close $1 billion in sales, that video series. And it was basically telling the company's story, who they were, their culture, these new product launches that they were going to do and they're introducing to the world. And they were so effective that the company sold $1 billion from that campaign. So there's things like that that are really amazing to see. Sometimes you hear it after the fact. Sometimes you have to really ask, okay, how did that go? And then we found out about that a year after, and they were like, oh, by the way. So we always focus on, we want to make sure it's effective and it works, and whatever that intended result is, right? That the company gets the result. That really matters to us.
Right. And are you only working with companies in Australia and the US?
No, we work with companies everywhere. I mean, we're global. We also have live shoot teams that can shoot all over the world. We've shot in Dubai, Singapore, the UK, Argentina. Yeah, like we work with companies everywhere. It doesn't really, it's not just US. Obviously, there's a lot of US market just because that's where we are and we're from, right? And there's a lot of companies in the US, right? I mean, but no, we work with everybody everywhere. I mean, we just did a shoot in Japan too. So yeah, wherever our work is needed and we will help. We're happy to help anyone. Yeah.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, that is very nice to know, Ryann. And so if I want you to do work for me in Jamaica, you don't necessarily have to come here. You can commission filmmakers or whatever it is that you need, the people that you need, the resource that you need to get it done.
Yeah, we can source local talent who are talented, and we have a stringent sort of, find the best people and that kind of thing. But we can also send teams to do whatever. I mean, like I've said, we've sent teams all over the place. I mean, we sent one of our team members who's in the UK, who's exceptionally talented. He was the one who went to Dubai to do a whole video capture. So yeah, it's
That's nice to know. Now, I want to know from you because you have a whole wealth of experience. You've been in this industry for a long time, Ryann, and certainly you have a lot to share. And so what's that one piece of advice that you have for entrepreneurs who would want to enter the field of storytelling, particularly through filmmaking?
I would say because it's so easy now to make a film, right? It's so much cheaper than it used to be. As long as you have good cameras and you can get good lighting and you've got a story that's a compelling story, anybody can make a movie now. And it wasn't always like that. When I first started in the industry, cameras and film and sound equipment was very, very expensive. And it was really, really hard to put things together because it costs so much money. So I would say that anybody who's interested in it, it's not as hard as you think. And if you can, learn the fundamentals of filmmaking, right? Like how to write a good script, what are the fundamentals of having a good crew, how do you structure things, how do you do good lighting, you can shoot a really good film no matter where you are on the planet. And you should, if you have interest on it, just do it. Because another thing too is like when something's quality and it's a compelling story and it's a universal story, that's another thing. Make it universal, because we all have stories to tell and we all have shared reality. You know what I mean? No matter where we are on the planet, whether it's about family or struggle or reaching goals or accomplishing things that we've always wanted to accomplish or whatever it is, all of us have universal stories. You will find a place to promote and get that movie out. Literally because there's so many streaming platforms now and there's so many avenues in which to get a movie out, you know? It's very easy to do. Everybody thinks it's complicated, but it really isn't.
Oh, and so how does one emerge as a leader in the industry, and how, what kind of role does film festivals and whatever else the industry has play in standing out?
I mean, there's different avenues for everybody. Obviously, there's the traditional avenues that a lot of people go through, which are, go through New York or go through LA or go through London and play the game of the industry, right? You can do that and that's fine, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You can become a leader by self-promotion. You can do something like podcasts. You can get a publicist and get yourself all over media. You can use social media to gain an audience and gain interest. And you can promote yourself now through social media with ads. You could make a movie and create a trailer, and you could literally promote that yourself through ad buying all over the planet if you wanted to. You could put that movie on a website where people could watch it, and you could pay yourself back for the money that you spent on the movie. But also just festivals are simple. You can submit to festivals all over the planet. They'll support you or not support you. You can go and travel to those festivals and meet other like-minded filmmakers, financiers, distributors, all of that. There's so many different ways to do it that I think the indie ways to do it, just because it allows you to keep your voice, right? If you don't want to compromise your integrity and you don't want to put things out there that you feel like aren't aligned with what you think about things or the kind of art that you think should be out there, you don't have to play the old school games. You can build your own game, basically.
Build your own game. Let's take a break. Ryann Liebl is my guest on the Entrepreneurial You podcast. It's now time for Community Connection. And guess what? Still talking about Leadercast Kingston, happening October 7 right here in Kingston, Jamaica. Now, before the COVID, we hosted a number of those events, and now we're back. And this time we're back with even more impact. We're not only providing you the space for your leadership growth and your development, but we are enabling you to be a part of the impact that Grace to Grow Mentorship and Training is creating. And so when you buy a ticket for Leadercast, not only are you doing the personal development, but you are contributing to the development of women who we mentor over a 3-month period and give back into them, pour into them. So it's a double for you. It's a double win. All right. And then in November, we have the Leadership Cruise. And that happens from November 3 to 7. We leave from Fort Lauderdale and set sail into the Bahamas for 5 days. You cannot afford to miss that. It's going to be an experience of a lifetime, personal development, plus loads of fun, fine dining, networking, wellness sessions, you name it, it's going to be there. So if you are interested in going to, let me tell you the Leadercast sign up information. It's puropen.com/leadercast. That's SPURR open.com/leadercast for that. And if you want to be a part of the cruise in November, then go to Heneka, email heneka@henekawatkis-porter.com or WhatsApp 876-849-2571. And that's our community connection segment. Let me get back to Ryann Liebl so that we can wrap our conversation. Ryann, before the break, before the commercial, the community connection break, you were telling me all about, what is necessary to win in the industry. And so as we wrap our conversation, I'd love for you to take us through the topic, just wrap your head around the topic and share that with our community. Lights, camera, impact, authentic storytelling, and female leadership in film. Take it away and also share with us how might our community get in contact with you.
I'm all over social media. So my name, Ryann Liebl, that's what I am on Instagram, Facebook, etc. Our company, you can go to expertcreativehelp.com. And that will take you to our company's website, which is where all of our creative agency work is. And you can see all kinds of different work that we do. But yeah, you can find me all over social media and you can direct message me. I run those and I'm reachable. So if anybody has any questions ever, I'm also going to be creating like a micro budget movie course soon. And that might be of interest to some of your audience. Like if they're really interested in making movies and they just don't know where to start, I'll be announcing that soon, hopefully. But yeah, I'm here to help whatever anybody needs. I'm always here to answer questions about any details about acting, filmmaking, the United States. I went to Jamaica when I was younger.
Nice.
I think I was there when I was like 13.
Oh my gosh, many years ago. You need to come back.
Yeah, I know. I should. I definitely should. But I really loved it and I loved the people. And they were, people were very joyful and they were really funny, really funny. Jamaicans are funny. You guys should be making more comedies.
Right?
Be making more comedies because you're funny,
Absolutely.
Maybe I can inspire some people to, get some movies going there.
Absolutely, because we do have some filmmakers here, and of course there's always room for more. Maybe you come and do a workshop or something. Who knows?
I would love to do that. I think that would be amazing. And it would be fun to sit down and mentor people and help people one-on-one. It would be great.
Oh, nice. All right, let's talk some more after this. But what are your final thoughts as we wrap? Lights, camera, impact, authentic storytelling, and female leadership in film. Let's hear the last word from you on that.
I would say, if anybody that's listening has had a dream and they feel like they can't quite get there, or it's going to be too hard, or there's too many barriers standing in the way, that's a lie. There's nothing that stands in your way, and anything that you want to create and have is completely and utterly right in front of you. And it's just about finding the right bit of information and the right people to support you to get you to accomplish that dream. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because I could tell you, I had a lot of people along the line say to me, you haven't done enough, you're too old, you don't have enough experience. I had all kinds of, and people said I was too old when I was 18 years old. So you cannot listen to it. You cannot listen to it, because your own knowingness and your own integrity dictates what you do in life. And you just have to go get it, because honestly, there's really nothing standing in your way except your own considerations.
Absolutely. There's nothing standing in your way except your own consideration. I think that's a great point on which we can end this conversation. Thank you so much, Ryann Liebl. It has been my absolute pleasure hosting you. And I know that I will stay in touch with you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And let's move on to our trending now. Now, according to the Center for the Study of Women in Television and Film, women accounted for only 18% of directors working on the top 250 grossing films in 2024. But films with female directors earned 23% higher audience scores for authenticity and impact. So meanwhile, the global demand for diverse stories is surging, with 64% of viewers saying they want to see more films that reflect real, underrepresented experiences. Ryan's commitment to authentic, female-driven storytelling is right on the pulse of what audiences crave. And that is why we are delighted to have had her share with us today on the Entrepreneurial You podcast. Again, much thanks to you, Ryann Liebl, for sharing your creative spark and for championing stories that matter, Now, to my peak performers, you know that sharing is caring, right? So if this episode inspires you even remotely, then we ask for you to subscribe, rate, leave a review, and just share it. Sharing is caring. Sharing with a fellow entrepreneur who wants to get into the or to do more as it relates to content creation. Remember, your story has the power to change the world. Don't keep it to yourself. Affirm with me. I'm a creative leader and my authentic voice makes a difference in the world. A very big thank you to our sponsors, the Jamaica Stock Exchange and Heneka Watkis-Porter.com. Do take care.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.